Welcome back to another episode of the Blockrunner podcast. I'm your host, William, always here with your co-host, Iman.
What's going on, dude?
And on the sticks, we got TJ.
Hello.
And finally, joining us today, we got YouTuber and co-founder of SatsPumpFun, Francis Dunh. Thank you for joining us, man.
Thank you guys so much for having me. You know, Iman and Will, it's a long time overdue, and the crypto gods finally made those circumstances come to fruition today. So it's a pleasure to finally be on your show, bro. I've been watching you guys. Like, I think last year I took some time off to build that first tool there, sathunter.com. And it was 6 months, right? I was on the couch watching you guys. So always been a big fan. So it's about time.
Yeah, I think during that, so that was between the period of BRC20s and basically, I guess.
And Bitmap.
Well, Bitmap was, I guess, the thing kind of like propagating during that time gap, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What was your opinion on what you were seeing happening with the Bitmap thing? Because I know you have some, like a background in the metaverse, like with Sandbox and stuff. I don't know. So what do you think about? Let's just start with that. Why not? Right? People might be interested to hear your opinion.
So
on the
for me
metaverse.
personally, I am a huge proponent of the metaverse. I believe the metaverse is actually going to be a thing the way we interact, business-wise, brand-wise, games, entertainment, whatever. Just like how we do it on the internet today.
Yeah.
A lot of people would say, well, if the metaverse is a thing, I think we already will be there. That's not true. My children, my 6-year-old daughter is always in Roblox right now. The newer generation is already on that, Fortnite. And I think as they grow, that becomes more normal than the internet in terms of interacting, you know?
Yeah.
This 3D way to interact. So yeah, I was sold on that notion. And dude, I went ham on Sandbox land, other side land as well. Like, dude, I bought a 6x6 for $500,000 doing an OTC deal with a guy in New York. I bought the top. That thing's probably worth, like, I don't even know what it's worth right now. I don't know. I don't want to know. But it ain't worth nothing close to that. But yeah, I built on top of it. We were having like a business, this brand thing where you could have artists come in and perform, and it's built already, called the Metropolitan. I could share that with you guys on a later date. So yeah, when it comes to Bitmap, again, I was so preoccupied with building this inscription tool that allows people to pay with BRC20 tokens called Shint instead of Bitcoin. They save their Bitcoin, they get their art or whatever the hell they want to mint. And I was caught up with that. However, I did inscribe some of the numbers, nothing too low. I bought some of the low digit numbers. I was so preoccupied, so I couldn't deep dive into the possibilities. Like, how is this metaverse going to be built out? I don't know. And as I said, I'm a proponent of it. I just didn't know the capabilities of Bitmap. And I was also, busy. So that's like, the gist of it. Maybe you guys could drop the alpha on that, but.
Yeah, no, I mean, when we first got into ordinals, I mean, your videos were the only ones that we were using to like do part of our research on.
Yeah, I remember finding on Ordinals bot the BRC20 like tab, right, to their interface, and that's what we were like. Hold on, this might be something.
Yeah,
let's do some research, and you were the only one talking about BRC20s like on YouTube. So it was like, all right, and we followed you in the past during like the IDO wave of the last cycle. I remember watching your videos. You were one of the earliest ones talking about IDOs, and so were we. We're like, okay, something is conjuring up here, right? We had ICOs last cycle. IDOs seem like they're going to be the thing this time around.
That's right.
So yeah, I mean, you definitely you have the ability to, I guess, identify these trends, right? So talk to us about that. What are you actually looking for when you're like, because it's not easy, right? Sifting through so much shit that's happening in this space, because we do the same thing, right? What are you actually looking for, like to actually pull the trigger on something? Like there's something forming here.
So people always ask me, hey, what do you think about Bitcoin price? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? The way I analyze the market is I wake up in the morning and then, I come downstairs in the office here, I put it on the computer, I see what's going on. Look at Bitcoin's price, right? Then the sentiment, what people are saying. And then I take it from there. But when it comes to these new trends, it's something that's very risky, obviously. And it could backfire in your face. You have to have conviction too. But if you do proper research on something, I think you could, put the pieces together. And when I saw, obviously I'm a token guy, I wasn't really too much into the NFTs. I did, as I said, though, people might say, well, you're contradicting yourself. You liked metaverse. That's NFTs with utility, real utility, It's not just regular art. Like with these guys making NFTs, most of them, they're like all of a sudden artists, but yet they never owned a piece of art before in their life or created one, but they're artists. So they couldn't sell me on that. But yeah, going back to the token stuff, I think just like with BRC20s as the example, it just made all the sense in the world. Or it could have been anything. Like whatever was the first fungible token on Bitcoin was just made a lot of sense, right? Because before we had this thought that that's impossible. You can't have fungible tokens on Bitcoin. And that just resonated with me, and obviously you guys and everybody else. And thank you for pointing that out about the content. Appreciate that. So yeah, that just made all the sense in the world for me. And it was little to no risk, right? It's like you're minting like cents. Dude, it was like literally pennies for one token. So the risk to reward was worth it. That's what it comes down to, right? So risk to reward, if it makes sense to you, and you kind of have to be interested in it, because if you're just trying to chase a trend, it just makes it easier if you're naturally interested in that. So for me, it was tokens, right? It may be a big trend with like NFTs or something, but I may not be into that because it's just not my thing. It just makes it easier. So yeah, those are definitely two ways you could go about doing it. And there's other risks involved too, but for the most part, yeah, that just have some conviction, do proper research. If the risk to reward is worth it, if you think it could be adopted for whatever reason. And here's the thing, you will be wrong on certain times, but guess what? You analyze that, your data, you find out where you went wrong, and you try to make yourself better. So you always find so much more information from mistakes or failure than you do success. If I was to be like, boom, 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 by the way, I'm not the most successful person, first of all, but I'm just saying, if I was always successful like this, I would learn nothing from that, you know? So I think failure also makes us better.
I totally agree. Yeah, we've had our fair share of failures as well. The whole art wave of last cycle, which is kind of like one of the big ironies of this cycle, because now we're like deeply ingrained into the art space now with DMT and everything. And another incoming irony is the meme thing, right? And another thing you could say we were wrong about. Yeah. Right. But by force, I guess, by market forces, it's going to be like an integral part of our considerations moving forward, right?
Yeah, when it came to art, it was so hard for us to like even comprehend like how you're going to pick a piece of art that's going to take off. Like it was literally random. And so our thesis is the same for memes. It's like, how are you going to pick a meme that's going to take off? It's random again.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so the market decides what is valuable. Art was valuable in 2021. Memes are valuable this cycle.
Yeah.
And it's, you just got to play it how the market is.
Correct. Yeah, so,
absolutely. You bring up a good point there. It's like, how would you like try to predict this moving forward? What's going to win and what's going to lose? You know, obviously the basic things comes to mind like community and blah 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 blah. But I feel as though the way I saw it too, and you know, in your defense, I'm a utility guy, right? I'm a person who believes in innovation and technology first, right? But I get the meme culture today. I really do get it, and you guys, you know, probably could attest to this too, or I don't know. Object to it. But I feel as though these memes are a way for everyday users and retailers to get into something at the grassroots level,
100%.
Similar to a VC. We'll get into a pre-sale. And they don't have access to pre-sales as much as VCs, right? And they feel as though, you know what, if they get it like as early as possible, they are now the VC. And they feel empowered, right? And that's their opportunity to get into something and grow with it without being dumped on, or however you want to look at it. And that's definitely the culture today, and it's just getting bigger and bigger. You know, we've seen people convert from NFT guys to like meme guys like overnight. Yeah, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah, and that also helped the market too. So when I say help the market, influence the market is what I should say. So that's my kind of like psychology behind the whole memes from the user standpoint, the retailer standpoint.
Yeah, and I think that Murad's speech that happened about 2 weeks ago on Token 2049, I think that really set the stage, because what you're saying is 100% true, because right now retail doesn't have an ability to get on the ground floor on anything. And when they were purchasing tokens, these utility tokens, quote unquote, they pretty much everybody got fleeced. And so now the new thing is not necessarily the memes, but it's this collective understanding that there's a new method to where everybody can participate at the ground level, and everyone has an incentive to kind of push that particular meme token for everyone to quote unquote get rich. Right. And so that is the new thing about this cycle that we're starting to like comprehend and really adjust to it.
Right. See, but this is an interesting thing, because Francis, now you're a builder, right? You're not just covering the space like a content creator. You have a much more diverse portfolio of like activities and like you're deeply ingrained into this industry just as we are, right? So you know, we have different perspectives, right? There's our degen switch in our brain, and then there's our builder switch in our brain, where we actually want to see true progress for the sake of this industry, right? Because, you know, we actually have conversations with other real humans out in the world. We got to explain like, you know, our business and what it is we're up to. Right. And it's like, oh, then they look into it and everyone's just flipping memes and just, it looks like a clown show.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So what do you think, like your actual perspective, like on the status of the progress of this industry? Because you've been around long enough to kind of like witness it all. It feels like when we first entered this space, there was a much more, the pendulum was definitely in the direction of the builders, people trying to like turn this into an actual technical paradigm, right? For whatever gain that results in. But now the pendulum's in the other direction. It's much more degen and just service the market demand of the now. Like, what is your projection into the future as of this? Is this like a potential cleansing moment for the space? Like, we just need to rip through everything and just burn it all down so that we could reemerge on the other side? Like, what do you think?
Let me just say this much. When I was a young fellow in college, I never thought the 40-year-old version of me will be talking about colorful monkeys and frogs, right? So God knows what the heck's going to happen in the next 5 years. You know what I mean? Who knows? But this, another way to put it is like this. I feel as though this is, you know, what's the guy's name again? Roaring Kitty. What he did did the FU to GameStop or whatever, or the VCs or whoever that was, the traders. I feel like the meme coin culture right now is trying to do the same thing and change 100%. The game. You know, VCs got to come and buy this shit. You know, exchanges want to list us, well, go buy it. We're not going to pay you, right? Mm-hmm. That's another way of looking at it too. So maybe one could argue, Iman and Will, it's getting more decentralized from that standpoint, from that perspective. I don't know. And to answer your question, who knows? I truly believe this meme coin thing is just going to evolve bigger and bigger, better and better, whatever that means, in ways that's unimaginable. I can't even put words together to describe that, whatever that is, but it's just going to formulate its own market and force these, like, you know, these ravens or, you know, to come in, the VCs that is, to come in and, you know, buy from us, so to speak. So that's a culture shift for sure.
Yeah, it definitely seems like the prevailing mission ethos that we're starting to see. And from Murad himself, we saw a video or a tweet he put out yesterday.
Yeah.
SPX 69,000 or something. 6900.
Yeah.
It was very culty, very like weird, and like it definitely tapped into some like unease center of my soul.
I don't think TJ's seen it.
Yeah.
We need to show it to you.
It's really weird. but you go to their website, his website of that token, and the whole mission, the ethos is like, we need to flip Wall Street and the stock market. Basically, they're putting the scope on, like you're saying, like institutional finance, kind of like what Satoshi did, but in like a whole different.
Roaring Kitty did the same thing.
Roaring Kitty, whatever. Right? These are clearly the bad guys, right?
Yeah.
And we need to do, as a community, leverage our tools to kind of like topple that, as these are the only participants of our current economic landscape. So it's a sexy narrative, dude. It's like you're saying. I want to rally behind that for whatever reason. It taps into some sort of like monkey side of my brain, right?
Yeah. Fighting back.
You want to set something on fire, dude.
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly. And another way to look at it, the way the evolution of these meme coins are turning out to be, it was just like a regular sort of like, you know, you find it on Uniswap or whatever. It might get rugged or maybe not. And then it went from that to now you've seen these pump.fun models coming out, right?
Yeah.
And that's like another, like a 2.0 of memes, right? That's a different evolution, so to speak, an advancement where you have this platform, they're safeguarding rugs and no pre-sales and no VCs as well on a platform. And that really caught wind. And then you guys mentioned it earlier. I call him, well, I think everyone calls him Memecoin Jesus. Descended from the heavens like a freaking extraterrestrial.
That's right.
And he told the native Indians how to build pyramids. You know what I mean? But he came down and he just had this speech and it resonated with a lot of people who didn't get it. You know, and if you saw what happened, the whole market started to pop off. You know, runes started to go up. You know, the people who gone to runes thinking that runes is special or something. Well, it's because of his speech. And if you look at Sol popped off, ETH popped off, every meme popped off because of that viral video.
Yeah,
it wasn't by coincidence. And you know, so that's what we had there. And put it like this: if he never booked his flight to Singapore to do a token 2049, we probably wouldn't be sitting here talking about memes right now as much. You know what I mean? He had a huge impact on people's perception and even the market. And I think that's the consensus.
It definitely changed my opinion. So for months, Iman was like, dude, I think memes are probably the next big thing. I'm like, no, Iman, this is just gambling. Like, it's not going to last long. Even if it is a meme like cycle, it won't last long. But then as soon as I saw that video, I was like, okay, I'm understanding the collective mind shift that is happening that is going to rally a lot of people.
Right.
And it is going to be like a cycle defining moment. And
Absolutely.
so it was because of that speech.
Yeah, and we
Absolutely.
know from cycles previous past, it's like, we're in the fourth quarter or entering the fourth quarter, we like to say.
Yeah.
Where we know Bitcoin at any moment now is like scheduled to basically explode and be in like this new price discovery mode and signaling to all of us. It's like, all right, time to like really lock in and figure out what is going to be like the emerging I guess like micro markets within the overall crypto market, right? Like last time, literally 4 years ago, this is like when NBA Top Shots was launching.
Yeah.
Generating people millions of dollars just flipping NBA highlights and stuff like that. So all of a sudden, everyone was like, the consensus was forming, oh, it's going to be NFTs, right?
Yeah.
People, this giant artist is making millions of dollars selling NFT art, right? So it's like, we knew that the clock was ticking. Something has to like be that front horse in the race to like, okay, we all have to rally behind. This is going to be the thing.
Yeah, and we've spent the last 2 years like diligently looking for the new stuff, and Ordinals is one of those things.
Yeah, for sure.
AI is another one.
Yeah.
And those are the only two things that we've seen that were generally new. But this like collective mind shift that Murad had put on is that third new thing.
Yeah.
And there's frictionless. Anybody can launch a meme token, and anybody can jump in at ground level. And
and as we know, Ordinals, it's a Bitcoin ecosystem exclusive thing, right? Like memes are applicable to all chains, all L2. Like that's what's I think so crazy about it. It's a systemic occurrence. Right? Yeah. So
exactly.
You just talked about the pump.fun model. So we totally missed it, but we've seen all the metrics and the data, how like it's a wildly successful model. I think they generated like 100 million in revenue in like 100 or 200 days or something, like faster than anything in Web3's past, right?
Yeah.
Like, explain to us how that happened. What is it? And why do you think like this is going to take memes to like the 2.0 phase?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I think this is how it went down, right? So degens, right? Solana's known for being this degen network, but there are a lot of rug pulls taking place as well.
Yeah.
Number one. But let me just back up. Prior to that, though, I think like this was like probably about 3 years ago. You needed to know a little bit of dev knowledge to even create a token, right? On a smart contract base, right? Like Solana. So that has been circumvented with service providers like pump.fun. So now you don't need to know developer code. And now you're safe in the knowledge knowing that how they burn the LPs, right? So now you can't get rugged. Put those two things together, you got a wonderful platform. And they make it in a way where it's like gamified or competitive. You must hit a bonding curve. So that intrigued degens. And that just caught like a wildfire. So I feel as though it was a perfect solution that also was entertaining, right? And as we said here earlier, the rest of the market, most of the market rather, this is their thing. This is their thing. Memes is their thing. So all of these things in a pot stirring up, being cooked, right? I think it really set well with the people in that field. So and we could talk about other networks like, say, BNB. We could talk about, say, look, dude, Tron was a dead chain. Who the hell talked about Tron since 2018, bro?
Yeah.
And then also they do a pump fun. Whoa, they start to pop up, right? Everyone's talking about them. Sui, Ghost Town, they do a pump fun platform popping off, right? They went like 3x and it's already a high market cap. So it's unmistakably clear what the market wants. And, I can speak a bit about SatsPumpFun after, but I'll stay on this. But it's like, it makes the most sense in the world in the Bitcoin ecosystem, right, guys? I'm sure you guys could attest to this too and say, yeah, we could agree on this one thing here. I think 99.9% of tokens on Bitcoin are memes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
they are.
Yeah, they are.
Right. I think like a platform like that coming to the Bitcoin ecosystem, not necessarily Bitcoin, makes all the sense in the world. But I'll stop here and we'll carry on over to my other point.
Yeah, it's largely the tokens are memes on Bitcoin because
there's no functionality, no.
It's the state of how these like meta protocols exist at the current moment, and just there's really nothing else you could do. So like the market is only confined to producing essentially meme tokens. And the definition of a meme token is what? I guess a token with no utility, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Therefore, it has memetic properties. All it does is, as a function is aggregate a community.
Yep.
Right. And with that community,
sorry,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, that's it. So it's like, but yeah, like before, I guess like this consensus alignment, that was just the situation we were in, right? So that was like the market dilemma of building on Bitcoin, right? You can really only you either support the guys who are trying to build meta protocols that add new programmability and functionality so that we can potentially introduce a new suite of product in this space that's beyond memes, or we all just collectively embrace memes. In the end, as a result, we stifle any progress or innovation, right? And we just play along, right?
Yeah.
So runes are like perfectly positioned, right? This is Casey's stance all along. It's only a meme platform, right?
Yeah.
There's no interest in turning this into anything beyond that, right? So to your observation, it's
spot on.
It's pretty obvious why like runes are all of a sudden front and center, right?
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Give us your perspective on the state of these protocols in Bitcoin, right? Because you've been around just as long as us, witnessing all of this. Obviously, you have a large emphasis on Fractal, who has activated OPCat, which has been touted for a while now as a potential savior to this Bitcoin builder dilemma, right? But as we know, there's some consensus requirements. Who knows? Some backroom
deals,
backroom bureaucracy in order to get that actually part of Bitcoin. But tell us your experience with Fractal and your assessment of how this can all solve these problems into the future.
Yeah, just back to the one topic there. So when you look at arguably the first tokens on Bitcoin, right? You could say, well, Ordi, I don't really say Ordi is the first one, although it technically is, but the one that was adopted first, in my opinion, is the first one, right? So the creator one shouldn't necessarily count from a statistical standpoint. So if we look at the one that came after that, it's literally called memes on Bitcoin. You know what I mean? So MEME. So I think that's safe to say that how they are memes. Now, about Fractal, man. So if you're a builder, it makes all the sense in the world on a UTXO network. You know what I mean? So what I'm doing here, obviously, okay, before I even get to what I'm doing, Fractal is so it serves my purpose because, first of all, they're not trying to be better than Bitcoin, right? Normally you hear about a sidechain. Oh my God, sidechain. Oh, they think they're better. No one's saying it's better. It's like it allows the things that builders need to do without the restraints and limitations of Bitcoin layer 1, which is what? Faster blocks, programmability now with OPCat on, right? Scalability, right? It could scale, and all of these things that are necessary for especially a pump.fun model. It could never happen on layer 1. And so that's how I see it. And I feel as though the powers that be in this space, right, which is Bitcoin Core and Adam Back, they make it extremely hard for newcomers to discover the truth of Bitcoin's history. If you read the white paper, you'll see it's all there. He talked about OPCat going back on and all these things. Bitcoin talk forums, he spoke about even increasing the block size. But this is why in 2017, we had the civil war year of all of these forks and sidechains, right? And they did a really good job in suppressing the truth, right? Just like what a shadowy government will do to the masses, right? This is how it went down. I highly recommend everybody, your viewers, your wonderful viewers, take in Hijacking Bitcoin from Roger Ver, Bitcoin Jesus. Guy's been there from day one. They demonized that guy, undermined him, made him look like a criminal. It's not by fluke when his book came out, he's in jail today. Okay. Damn. So I highly recommend people check that out and have an open mind. That's all. So that's how I see Fractal.
Yeah.
And Fractal and Unisat and them guys are BSV guys, right? So they understand this pretty well too. So that's what I would say for that. And it really allows us to do far much more than we could ever imagine on this particular UTXO network.
Yeah, Francis, can you talk about, I mean, we're sort of aligned in a way where you have to spend your time, on YouTube and discovering like what the new thing is happening and talking about it, but you also have to spend time like contributing to building a platform. You want to talk about the difficulties, required for your time to be split in such a way where you have to like service a community on YouTube, but also service a community of like utility users of like a platform.
Man, it is incredibly challenging. It truly is. I've been getting the other night I got 15 minutes of sleep. So it just comes down to that. Me personally, I just told everybody, I said, hey guys, if you don't see me online too much, it's because I am building and I am. But at the end of the day, sometimes the average person, they want to really get it, right? They don't understand what that entails. And believe you me, I'm sure you guys can relate to this too. Building on a UTXO network is far more challenging than on an account-based network like Ethereum and Solana, especially if you're trying to do something like what we're doing with issuance of tokens that requires UTXOs.
Yep.
And, UTXOs, it's something that's, if you look at your Unisat wallet, you might have a Bitcoin in there, but that tracker thing, it's trying to tell the human eye it's in there, it's spread across the entire network, but the network knows it belongs to this private key. Yeah. So then what happens when you're trying to issue tokens, bro? It's far more challenging, And so I've been learning a lot from that. And I've been going through some struggles in terms of just like sanity and sleep and trying to juggle everything. But one thing I did learn being 7 years in this space, it's okay to take it easy from content to formulate something that's going to make a difference. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you why I believe what I'm doing is making a difference. So as I said, it's far more than just a perfect market fit, because I think we all agree it's mainly memes here, right? Yeah. So now it's relevant. And then we are solving the problem of trading tokens on a marketplace, because you go directly into liquidity pools, right? And I think that is truly solving a problem. And that's where the momentum sort of gets stopped. But yeah, sorry to go off topic there a bit, but that's what I would say. I think it's okay to tell your hardcore fans, hey, look, guys, I'm building here. This is for us, and I need some time to do that. I'll try to be consistent, maybe do some tweets, right? Some short form content. But if you're serious about building, that should be your number one concern. And then the content, right? If you're doing it all like that, I believe that's just my approach.
Yeah, it resonates, a big deal with us, because we struggle with maintaining a consistent presence, and even keeping an ear on the ground on trying to see what is popping off, so that we maintain an ability to be able to pivot to what is actually working. Like in the case of memes, it's like all of a sudden our messaging is sort of adjusting a little bit to kind of focus on the meme mania, rather than specifically just utility, because we have to survive, and we have to survive according to what the market wants. And right now on Bitcoin, it just pumps out memes anyways.
Yeah.
So it's not that hard.
Yeah, but the same day, still have the ability to see beyond and extrapolate beyond just what the market wants today, right? Because obviously, we know, okay, just because there's some guy who looks like Jesus has appeared, has visited us, right, and given us this alignment. We've seen how previous alignment efforts have resulted in unsustainable outcomes, right? And it's memes, without a doubt, is going to be one of the least sustainable vectors of crypto's creation.
Yeah, 100%.
So at some point, the music will stop, right? And then people are going to be left, the music, what chair do I sit on now, right? The music is playing. So what is going to be that next thing that comes after memes, right? Because this cycle, this bull cycle, I think it's going to last longer than the meme cycle, right? Yeah. So it's what are actually going to be those next things, assuming the meme super cycle does hit and people all of a sudden have discovered this new wealth, right? And it's crypto wealth, paper wealth, essentially.
Yeah.
What are they going to do with it? Where are they going to put it next, right? It's just put it all in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I don't know. So what do you think?
If I could just piggyback off of that, Iman, sorry. I would say this, right? And I'm sure you guys know this best too. In crypto, trends are always going to come, right? And when you try to commit to a particular trend and you're a builder, sometimes it's like, shit, the trend came and went, right?
Yeah.
Right? And then they're trying to launch a product, right? This happens. Yeah. So, we don't get me wrong. Maybe trend is not the right word, but the hype of that trend, right? There's that initial big hype and everyone's going crazy. AI came out, AI coins pumped. Metaverse came out, Metaverse coins pumped, land pumped, right? Whatever else, tokens on Bitcoin. But the thing about memes, they've always been here, right? There was a trend. I guess it's a trend, but it's something that's always been here, and it's always just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger every year. So that's something what I looked at and I was like, damn, right? I think this is from a builder's perspective, seeing myself, build all this land, expensive, paid these guys freaking all kinds of money. Dude, I paid the builders of Sandbox as if they were building me a plaza, a mall, that type of money. Okay. I spent that money, then the trend came and went. I'm stuck with this thing, and I'm sure that'll come back at some point. But as a builder, you kind of want to hit the market when that hype trend is there too, right? Yeah. To have your presence. So what I'm trying to get at, I feel as though memes present a different type of trend that proliferates bigger and bigger and more each year. So it's a safer bet for builders as well, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting, because memes, like you're saying, they've been around for a while, and they're going to persist, right? And so creating a platform that sort of supports that sort of vector within the crypto economy, I think it makes sense. But ultimately, it's going to be, going back to the utility tokens, it's like the VCs, progress in crypto, it all depends on building things that are long-term sustainable and useful after these trends go up and down, right? And so that's part of like our research is like understanding like the today trends, but also understanding like the macro trend of crypto. And so far the macro trend is like we expected things to mature, and they've sort of like in some sense like regressed.
Oh yeah.
With the focus of memes and this like upcoming cycle. But like we were saying earlier, it's not going to last that much longer, and memes are still going to play a huge role in crypto, but also utility tokens and the metaverse and all these other things and DeFi are going to play a role as well.
Yeah, I think that's important to keep in mind. Like this isn't like a like the PSA should be like the space isn't fully cooked, right?
Yeah.
Just to keep in mind, even though like memes, it might appear so, and some of the mission and ethos behind that is kind of like a fuck you to all you utility like smoke and mirrors out there who kind of like had us duped last cycle. You're not gonna do that to us again. It's a pendulum thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's okay. But again, like we said, people are going to realize the other direction isn't any more like fruitful. Actually, like you know, in the now, the current zeitgeist of things, this is what people want to be doing. But ultimately, we still, as a collective, like industry space, whatever, we actually do need to produce real value somehow, some way. Right?
Yeah, there's a use to programmable money, right? Outside of just creating memes, and it's just like we just got to figure out what that is.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think
on the flip side, though, it's like fake utility did suck up a lot of the liquidity in the market. You know what I mean? Bad actors, right? So I think that's where the retailers are saying, you know what, screw this shit. Like utility is dead. You know, on the PsyopCat Twitter account, which is the first meme coin of the SatsPumpFun platform, that's what we've been saying, right? Because you know what I mean. I think people could understand that perspective too.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, I think it's fair. Again, it's deserved. I think in the now.
100%.
But I'm pretty sure I could probably, because I've been around long enough. Like things, this market seems organic and like super punk right now. But as this continues to Cambrian explode and more liquidity enters this movement, these same actors that kind of like duped us last time around, they're gonna come in. They're gonna find their nesting grounds within the meme ecosystem and. We're gonna discover like this isn't like some pure end of crypto, right? There's gonna be some tactics deployed that are going to take people for a run, without a doubt.
Masquerading as a meme, as an organic meme,
leveraging that the movement. Right?
Yeah.
So that's my prediction. I mean, this just is what it is, and that's the catalyst to kind of like swing things in the other direction.
That's right.
I think this is just how it's supposed to be happening, right? Like we just have this back and forth between like the purists, the technologists, the degens, and all this stuff, right? Ultimately, we're just creating like this much more broad scale of an actual market, right? That can fulfill many demographics, right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting. So Francis, give me like your Bitcoin thesis, right? Because I think you were like us. You were much more like Ethereum focused last cycle, right? So something obviously. The big thing is we understand the value of Bitcoin, right? And the idea of like people are trying to build an ecosystem on that. It's too attractive to ignore, right? So what is your expected outcome? Like where do you think the actual value of this Bitcoin ecosystem is going to come from, right? Is it going to be DeFi, ordinal, like you know, we're just making JPEGs all over again, but this time they're on Bitcoin, so therefore it's like a tremendously new value proposition, or is it something else? What do you think?
So yeah, I think the reason why most of us, if not all of us, was in Ethereum last 4 years is because that was actually giving us something to do and want to be there, right? So liquidity pools, trading, just like decentralized finance actually took off. I remember like in 2019, I first heard DeFi. I think it was from Chico Crypto.
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell is this DeFi thing? What is DeFi? What is DeFi? Sure enough, then that summer came and I'm like, okay, so this is DeFi. Lending, borrowing, Axie Infinity, all of these things, like things that we like could actually participate in and be active with, right? So I feel as though Bitcoin is seeing its time something similar to that. You know, whether it's Tap, whether it's I don't know whoever hell is building meta protocols, that's going to make sense and actually work. And give us the groundwork to do things. I think we're seeing this happen again with Bitcoin on the rise of what we saw Ethereum before that bull run cycle took place. So look, again, memes are going to be the thing, yes, but I also believe in technology, and I think there's going to be somebody out there that builds out that framework, and they will be the clear winner. But there'll also be other camps out there. However, I do say this too, like if we're talking about DeFi stuff, right, it needs to be, in my opinion, it has to be cheap, it has to be fast, right? I'm talking about a network effect. Now, look, if you're into ordinals art, if you're into rare sats or artifacts, that's fine. You don't care about high frequency stuff, right? Because you're just like, okay, bye. Whenever the mempool pushes that through, I got it, right? You don't care. But if you're talking about like degenning and all that kind of stuff, which, which we were speaking about earlier, I think you need a different type of environment. So this is why we're on Fractal. But going back to your question, yeah, I believe, it's going to be some sort of programmability, right, that allows us to do the things that we see on Solana and Ethereum, but on a slower pace on Bitcoin, right? Mixed in with all this other meme stuff, sure. And I just want to just let your viewers know, if you don't mind, I feel like, we could talk about layer one assets, right? And what makes sense is these on-a-chain artifacts. So I just alluded to Ordinals art. That's on-chain. Ethereum, it's not, right? If that company goes out of business, you don't see your JPEG, okay?
Right.
So that does have value to it, right? So Ethereum is like the certificate. You actually own the art here. That makes sense. But when it comes to meme coins, like Bitcoin layer one, I don't think they're that much more valuable than meme coins on other networks because they're not the artifacts. They're just token memes. Yes, people value memes and they may value it because it's on Bitcoin, but I don't think it's because of the artifact perspective, right? Sure. I just wanted to get that out there too, because it's just not an artifact. And I think that's where most of the people in the Bitcoin ecosystem, the maxis, they're turning into maxis now, are missing the point, with tokens on Bitcoin being artifacts.
So do you think there's any added value at all? Like, because what we're seeing something like in the runes market, some of these like top tier rune memes are bridging over to Solana. There's like mixed feelings about this, right? I was like, what the fuck, guys? I thought we were trying to build value here on Bitcoin, but it's like, nah, not really. It's like we're just, let's do things here on Bitcoin. Let's take it to Solana because there's more infrastructure there. There's more degen liquidity there. Really, we're just all about pumping our bags, right? So there's kind of like a mixture of ethos here. It's like, damn, dude, I thought we all had conviction in some sort of like a Bitcoin movement, right? So what's happening? Like, what's your assessment on that?
I think, at least, my personal opinion, I can't say for certain. I think that's what people are trying to do there is they're trying to advertise the Bitcoin ecosystem to the degens of meme coins to get them over here.
I see.
Right? But this is what I think. I don't know if it's accurate, but I would just say this again. I think it will entice them of, oh my God, Bitcoin has meme coins. But when they come over here and then they got to wait freaking half an hour, bro. Okay. On some cases to get their damn meme. Right. Again, they're not revering this as an artifact. Right. I think they just want to make a quick flip, so they're used to much faster and cheaper fees, programmability. So I just don't know how that will sit with them for a long-term network effect. Look, they might come for a little bit, but they say, you know what? If I'm not here again. I just said, memes on Bitcoin aren't artifacts. So these guys aren't looking for artifacts. These guys want quick flips in and out. Boom, bam. Thank you, madam. Where's the next pump? They're chasing pumps, not artifacts, right? So, but I could appreciate the marketing scheme there of trying to get them to come over here. So that's what I would say about that.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
The idea of, I guess, like exporting the value of like Bitcoin. Bitcoin has many potential like value wrappers, right? We've invented our own with DMT. Like we think like the actual data set within Bitcoin has some interesting tangible value to it just because of like the immutable nature of Bitcoin and how much energy is being inputted to preserve that. Like that's a potential value export that people haven't really identified yet. But just the idea of like anything, I guess, is being arbitrarily injected into the Bitcoin block space now has like this artifact wrapper of a value of some digital thing.
Yeah.
Right. So whether you export that to another chain now, it's like participating in this like much more fluid ecosystem. It still has this added like little badge running around with it while it's in there, right? Like, I bring with me some sort of like Bitcoin value, right? And so that I think is like the ultimate experiment. Whether or not this demographic of degen gives a fuck.
Yeah. Do they even appreciate that?
Yeah. Well, they see that as value, right? Does that add to my meme or whatever the fuck that means? So that's kind of the big experiment. I think that's all we could do here in the Bitcoin landscape, just because I think it's going to take much more time to get the proper infrastructure, like you're saying, whether that's Fractal or like some sort of account abstraction process here native to these meta protocols that are building. So just to make things more fluid and, better UI UX, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's not there today, obviously, right? And I know Fractal, there's still a lot more infrastructure, right, that needs to be, I think, built before, we're comparing with the Solanas and such.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, Francis, So yeah, part of like the early days of ordinals, we're watching the whole thing, right? Watching your videos, getting into BRC20s, and then kind of understanding the landscape of Bitcoin. And we have, things like Tap, and we have OPNet now. And when we were like understanding like the different meta protocols that were being generated, all these like JSONs, right? Like BRC20s was the first JSON. And then Bitmap came out, and it blocked out in about a month, I think June 30th. And that was the first time we were able to kind of like understand that we can leverage block data in a kind of a new way. Instead of using the blockchain, we were leveraging what existed to create new assets. And at the time, we were looking for semblance of programmability, and Tap was the only one that gave us that opportunity. And so like we come from a background just like you do, is like from Ethereum, is like we need to build utility and functional things, and we want to create stuff where people use and leverage for a long term. And when it came to Bitcoin, we're like, well, Bitcoin is going to outlive us. And what happens if we launch tokens based off of block data that will persist in generation after we pass? And so that's the genesis of DMT. And so our focus has always been kind of like, how do we build DMT without having to create our own entire meta protocol on ourselves, by ourselves? And so we kind of gravitated to Tap and what Benny was building. And it's sort of, Benny's like on the forefront of creating that functionality on Bitcoin. And pretty soon he's going to enable account abstraction. And remember how you were mentioning earlier about building fungible tokens based off UTXOs? Well, on Bitcoin, we have account-based balances, right? BRC20, Tap, and so forth. And so now you can create this interface with the smart contract that allows you to manipulate the balances of these accounts in a way that is sort of transparent through this smart contract. And so, that's going to be kind of how we leverage programmability on Bitcoin. And I wanted to give you sort of like the kind of like the elevator pitch as to like what is happening, at least.
Please. I'm genuinely interested in it because, again, I'm not misinformed. I'm uneducated. So please let me know how does Tap work? Because that right there caught my attention. You're saying that how they're using an account-based system here?
That's right. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah. Okay, so now imagine you're in the metaverse, right? You're on a Bitmap and you are interacting with this like kiosk to get a wearable for your Nat Cat or whatever it is. And what you're actually doing is you're interfacing with a smart contract that happens to be running on ICP, that it has native integration to Bitcoin. But that smart contract is saying, hey, if you spend, let's say, 1 billion NAT tokens, right? This is a fungible token on Bitcoin, the first DMT asset to be spawned. Let's say you spend 1 billion of these NAT tokens, your NAT balance goes down 1 billion when you complete this transaction, right? Interacting with the smart contract. And then the balances of the participants within the metaverse, let's say the landowner, the creator, the kiosk owner, all these, their balances just like automatically go up because they're account balances. It's not essentially attached to a UTXO. And so what's happening now is that you have essentially a frictionless environment, all being manipulated by these smart contracts, all L1 stuff. And so that's what we find the most interesting in terms of like the forefront of development on Bitcoin. And we sort of need this for the metaverse because, like you're saying, there's no way that people are going to run around on a Bitmap and wait 30 minutes to an hour to receive a wearable after completing a transaction. Yeah. That's like a non-starter.
Yeah, or like to attempt to play any game or anything like that. Yeah, so we've had tremendous challenges building into the Bitcoin ecosystem because we come from Ethereum, building on Decentraland, where all this infrastructure was basically already put in place for us.
Yeah.
And actually, like when we started building, Polygon or Matic at the time was already there and present and like giving us like a scaling solution, right? So now we haven't even really talked about that in the context of Bitcoin, like the L2 ecosystem, right? So it's tremendous, like the level of difficulty, I guess, that we've kind of been dealing with because, we've had a metaverse vision all along. And like we were saying, it's much more easier to execute on Ethereum. But I think the value of executing it here on Bitcoin is obviously way more valuable, right? So I guess the question to you is, give us your like interpretation feedback as far as like where you think that's all headed, and like I guess L2 incorporated into this discussion, because there's like 100 of them already.
Yeah.
On Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Like, which of these actually have any value from your perspective?
Oh, the Bitcoin L2s?
Yeah.
So yeah, just a little bit there. So there's like about 3 questions in one. Very, very powerful questions there.
Okay.
I want to comment on there.
Mm-hmm.
Bitmap. If it wasn't for you guys, I don't think Bitmap will be a thing. So credit must be given to you guys, first of all. I see some noise on Twitter, and I think people are unappreciative. I think they need to like just take a step back. And this goes back to what I say. When you're building, people don't understand these things, right? Mm-hmm. They don't see the same things we do. So they will never be able to appreciate that. If you guys pushed Bitmap, you got the awareness out there. I think one time you went on Leonidas' show and you were debating about it.
Yeah.
People forget shit easy. So I just want to say that first things first. About Tap, that's very, very, very interesting. If that's what they're doing, they're making it, I don't know if manipulating is the right word, but UTXO on a UTXO network to make it account-based, that is extremely fascinating, and it will make builders' jobs a heck of a lot more easier if you're talking about fungibility on a UTXO network. So on Bitcoin layer 1 rather. So that is very, very fascinating. Maybe I should look into that more. And the DMT aspect as well, I feel as though it's something that I need to like really watch some videos. I'll watch you guys' videos, and you did share a lot here with me. So thank you for that. And I'll take some time to learn more about that. When it comes to the L2s, I feel like where they failed to miss the mark, and I was pretty bullish on that, I really was, because I understood that how, the limitations of layer 1, and these L2s, I'll be open-minded to it. It was just something weird about using a MetaMask wallet at the end of the day, right? and plugging in that RPCs. It just didn't feel like, like a Bitcoin L2 or whatever. It's really like a sidechain. But when you look at Fractal now, I feel as though it's still proof of work. It is, SHA-256. It's still 1 megabyte, but the faster blocks do help. And it has all these other things that's required to actually build too. So I don't know. Look, I would say this much. Jeff and Merlin Chain, I respect that guy though, from a founder perspective, having the balls to lock up all of that 1 billion. Sure, it was centralized. I get it. But I feel as though to actually, transfer over that type of value into your possession and take ownership, the burden of maybe failure, right, was a big deal. So I kind of like respect him for that. But at the end of the day, I think people who are trying to build layer 1 solutions or even meta protocols learned a lot from that movement. And apparently, there's supposed to be another one called BitLayer. That's Charlie Hu.
Charlie Hu, yeah.
Yeah, I saw him in Denver, dude. And that guy, he had nothing other than himself. It was almost like a guy going around with flyers talking about BitLayer. And it's like, Francis, you remember me? He had a project with a standard protocol on Polkadot. It wasn't his, but he was a part of the team.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, I do remember you, blah, blah, blah. And then I went to Hong Kong one time. The first week I saw him there, and like he had a team, and ABCDE, a big fund in Asia was investing.
Yeah.
OKEX. And then I saw him again in Hong Kong. I went back 3 weeks later. The guy's like the talk of the town.
Yeah.
So I think they say BitLayer is supposed to have the better tech out of all of these L2s, and apparently Botanics. Yeah. But I've kind of like not diverted, but my attention is really focused with Unisat. Why? Because I feel they understand this market the best, right? In terms of they've been here from the very beginning. They built the first marketplace, the first wallet support, and even the BRC20 indexer. So I feel like, and look at you guys. You guys are bullish on Bitmap, but you realize, well, I don't know, man. This 30-minute block wait time, I think Tap might be better, right? Right?
Yep.
So it's not us trying to turn against people. It's us realizing it probably isn't going to work long term. We can talk about it, we can hype it up, but let's think about this logically, right? Yeah. And I would argue, and I think you guys would agree, I don't want to influence your answer or your response, but you guys let me know, a metaverse is almost like a social media platform.
100%.
And you need people to want to be there for it to be successful, right? And it needs that needs a network effect, right? If anything needs a network effect, it is a metaverse, right? It's a 3D social media platform, in my humble opinion. And what's a network effect? It has to be cheap, man. It has to be fast. Convenience, that's what I would say to that. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, it's tremendously hard to get people to see reason and logic, like you're saying. We have a lot of experience in that. We're trying our best to get people to see and understand like the technical efficiencies to building specifically with Tap, right?
We try every day.
We try. Yeah, every day. And every day we try, that seems like the logic gap gets wider and wider and wider, because there is this like maxi sentiment that's just it's the same maxi sentiment that exists on Bitcoin, and the same guys who are yelling at Casey and everybody who's built ordinals and who's contributing to ordinals, like, you guys are fucking up like what Bitcoin stands for, right? Yeah. So that same maxi sentiment exists in the Bitmap ecosystem, to where people can't see any reason and logic beyond what they believe in, right? Which is fine, because we're starting to identify the belief is very important, right? Like, this is the cult-like properties that gets people aligned, and therefore, like, market perceived value comes as a result of that, right?
Yeah, and that's why we like Bitmap a lot, is because, you know, someone like Francis, you could take a look at Bitmap and say, hey, I want to actually build something, so I'm gonna work with my team and I'm gonna do something, right? And you have the permissionless opportunity to do so, and so do we, and so does everybody else. Yeah. And we're gonna build on Bitmap in a way that we think is going to be long-term sustainable. Mm-hmm. We want to support developers and creators. Mm-hmm. We want to create an economic layer that supports everybody, all the participants of the metaverse, because, like you're saying, it's a social network. Right, and this social network with Web3 requires this economic layer to support everybody. Mm-hmm. And so that's what we believe. And others have other different kinds of beliefs because they have different experiences or whatever. Mm-hmm. And everyone should be open to build. And that's the point of Bitcoin. And that's what Casey did, what he did, and nobody can stop him. Right, and nobody should be able to stop anybody, right? Mm-hmm. And we're all just trying to figure it out ultimately.
Yeah. 100%.
I would just say, if anybody comes to you guys, whether that's, I don't know if it's a Bitmappers or whoever it may be, and they're dropping, you know, you guys post something about what you're doing, and they come to say a piece of their mind, flooding it, whatever, just take a picture of the PFF and put laser eyes in it. That's it. Don't even say nothing.
Yeah.
Don't even come back. You just take a picture, put red laser eyes, right, and drop it there. That's it. You're done. Because they're maxis now.
Yeah.
They're literally turning into the people that we laugh at. Literally. Right? I just don't get it. And I would say this, it's like, you know, if we want to talk about, you know, the super cycle that's coming, in my opinion, it's going to be the biggest bull run, and I think the longest one too. You know, I think this is the best chance to make the most out of it. Maxis aren't going to make it, bro. Yeah. They're just not going to make it here. They're just not. So just be open-minded to everything. That's what I would say.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And that's a good segue to kind of talk about like the macro like view on this cycle. So far we've identified memes, we've identified ordinals, and there's a third thing.
I mean, AI, but we didn't
really talk about it.
Really, it's just Bitensor. If you haven't looked into Bitensor, I recommend you do. At some point, we're gonna, because we introduced Bitensor to our channel like when it was trading at like $20-$30. Yeah. Nobody really knew about it, but it's literally has like 90% of the AI market share now. It's a beast.
Yeah.
In the making. Something to pay attention to, right? Everybody should have knowledge of what's happening in that ecosystem, because at some point it's going to apply, I think, at large scale to everything we're building.
I totally agree. Yeah. So Francis, from your perspective, do you see any other like trends or interest in like verticals on crypto other than those three items?
Yeah. Good question. As I said, it's true what I say, right? I really try to focus on today, but no, obviously looking ahead is very important. And I do a lot of that, but I mean, like, I think, like I just said, that how this is going to be one of the biggest super cycles, whether that's, you know, consensus or not. That's what I believe. But after this bull run, I truly believe we're not going to really see these types of like opportunities, right? Mega bull runs. I feel as though it's going to, you know, get diluted.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like with the .com bubble, you know, it was, you know, ups, and flatline, and you can still make money if you got a legitimate business. But this type of shit where you put like $500 into something, it turns into 50K in 1 week, I think that's going to be hard to come by, harder and harder, right? Yeah. So with that being said, I'm going to say something very boring here, I think, but potentially we start to see real world assets coming onto the blockchain now.
Okay.
Right. That's what I see, because all of this like degen stuff and you know pumps and all that stuff, it wouldn't be as abundant. And I think this is where a blockchain showcases itself on what it could do with the real world. Whether that's you know, what do you call that thing there? When you're trying to track inventory, you know, chaining your chain supplies and stuff.
Supply chain, yeah.
Yeah, logistics and all that, and all of this boring stuff. But I feel as though now it brings a real world use case to blockchain. That's what I see. And like, yeah, the AI narrative too, for sure, that could be incorporated as well. But I think it'll move away a little bit from what we're doing today. However, we will still have the market. And the reason why I say that is because I feel as though, back in the day, this whole Bitcoin thing, this space was for like terrorists. It was for, the black market, right? And then this was the news saying this. And then the news now is giving Bitcoin forecasts, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like we're going to see companies now accept the fact that blockchain tech is actually going to help them. And it proliferates with real world assets coming on here. That's something I definitely see happening at some point. Yeah. When that happens, I don't.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, like in tandem with the whole pendulum, like swinging reality. Just that seems like the market segment that makes the most sense as far as like bringing in more like regulatory clarity, because these assets, I think they're real world assets, right? These are going to have much harder, I think, scrutiny as far as like becoming legitimate verticals.
There's real implications now.
Yeah, so it's like, all right, kids, I see you guys had a lot of fun with memes, but the big boys are coming. The big boys are coming with real world assets here. We're talking multi-trillion-dollar vehicles here.
Yeah,
with like they've been around since like forever. Right? Yeah, these are fundamental pillars of our real world economy. And we see the value in blockchain and tokenizing all that. Maybe BlackRock has like a huge sway in bringing this stuff into the market, right? But yeah, with that comes a little bit of like actual market maturation at that point, which everybody has a different opinion as far as like how that should be rolled out. But I feel like that's part of like the actual maturation. Nobody has figured it out. We're all waiting for like, I guess, our government representatives to step in.
Trump.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be Trump who figures out like how to make sense of all this. Whoever's tasked with that, good luck, dude. That's all I got to say. But I think that's a pretty sensible, like looking into the future, something I've been anticipating that for a long time now, like since 2017.
Yeah, real world assets,
Yeah, for sure.
They had some love though. RWA had some love earlier in the year. People were talking about it, big YouTubers and the next thing as well. So maybe that's signs of things to come. We'll see, but I definitely think it's going to come to that point, sometime later down the road.
Yeah, man, it's hard to keep track of all this for sure. Yeah, like I've also heard those because a lot of our bulk of our research comes from Twitter, and part of that algorithm is like creating these echo chambers based on like who you're following and such. So it literally narrows the scope of like what you're being exposed to over time. And so you have to actually like break beyond that like algorithm to like discover what everybody else is up to, right?
Right.
So yeah, from our observation, we're definitely in the Bitcoin ecosystem chamber. So it appears like nothing is happening outside of that.
Right.
But it seems like memes have been the thing that's been happening over the last year or so. And like, it's completely something that's happened like outside of our gaze, right?
Yeah. That and like some guy smoking crack, doing memes actually.
Well, we actually saw that happen.
Yeah, we did.
We were like, holy shit, this meme thing's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
Didn't think that was gonna become like the big thing, but
the meta.
There's a lot of crack out there, so I guess why not, dude? Let's just all start smoking crack and pumping our bags.
Yeah. Francis, we got a few more minutes. I guess talk about SatsPumpFun, like all that stuff that you're working on. Like, when's the release date? Like, how soon are you to launching this thing?
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity, guys. So, our testnet, private testnet, it goes live in 48 hours. We'll be reaching out to people. If you guys want to just check it out, I could definitely give you guys the secret link or whatever, the private link rather.
48 hours is when we dropped this video.
There you go. Yeah,
so it's happening right now.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you guys could check that out. That's what we're doing over there. After that, we will go to a larger crowd, probably like the people who are in the space on Twitter, give it to them. And I want them to give us their honest opinion and like take a picture, tweet. I don't care, bro. If you don't like it, just tweet it out. I don't care. I really don't. I'm okay to constructive criticism. I really am. So yeah, we'll do that. And then we're aiming to go live if everything goes okay with the testnet at the end of this month. So I'm not going to give an exact date, but we are on target for near the end of this month, right?
Okay.
It may go into November, but I don't see that happening like the first 3-4 days. But we're looking really, really solid here. And I'll just give you guys a brief summary. So once again, we have already spoke about that it's relevant here because most coins on Bitcoin are memes. Then what's the problem? The problem is liquidity pools, not marketplace. Non-fungible tokens, fungible tokens, non-fungible tokens, fungible tokens. Like you just don't do it. A man doesn't go in a woman's washroom. I don't walk on my arms. I walk on my feet. Why am I walking on my arms? psyoping people into this, thinking it's normal. So I want to like, come and give them a product that makes sense here. So yeah, so what we're doing here now is we're giving them the ability to do this just like how everyone loves memes. No team tokens, no VCs, no pre-sales, fair launches, all of that stuff. Creator comes to our website, he could create his, his meme, upload the logo. It's hard-coded 1 billion supply. What's in the ticker. We did a vote saying how much, if you guys wanted something called degen mode, which is the current structure of pump.fun, which now entails the creator could purchase as much as he wants. This is what the people wanted. But 2 weeks later, when we're live, we'll introduce something called the BTC mode, which is structured in fair mints structure, right? So maximum per limit per wallet or whatever, per transaction. I see. Right? So we got that going on. And instead of now saying, okay, well, I got these tokens now, let me go to the marketplace. Hey, Iman, I got 5,000. You want to buy them? Iman's like, no, I only want 100. Will, okay, I got 5,000. No, I want, whatever. So you could go into this market and it's going to be, a liquid market. You aren't going to be forced to buy what the seller lists, right? You're going to buy what you want to buy, right? And I think that's a good value proposition over there. So yeah, we're also using something called a CAT20 token standard that's OpCat enabled. And the cool thing about this is it's interoperable with any UTXO network that has SegWit enabled and also operational concatenate, which is OpCat, right? And, if Bitcoin ever one day turns on OpCat, the cool thing about this is it's interoperable in its native form without any wrappers. It could go down there with trustless bridges. Now, I highly recommend you guys study Scrypt. Those guys over there knows this best. Yahweh from Scrypt. He's a legend on the other side of the world, and he's making a name for himself over here. So they could explain this much better than me, but that's the gist of it. There are also no indexers requires. It's like minor validated transactions, And I know everyone's like, oh, that's impossible, but I mean, nobody could prove it wrong. And apparently somebody, I think it was UTXO intern, already bridged it to layer 1, to mainnet, but you can't see it. Like there's a transaction there, like you just can't see it in your wallet or anything like that, but it went down there. So yeah, so that's interesting there. So yeah, we are on Fractal Bitcoin network because you could have a good token standard, but where's it going to be, right? It has to be in a network that, at least from my, platform, that needs fast blocks, cheap fees, programmability. So Fractal fits the bill, right? So you will need Fractal as well to use it because that's the network. But the tokens you're generating here, these meme tokens, are CAT20 tokens.
That's cool.
And that's the gist of it. I could dive deeper, but I know we don't have much more time.
Wow. No, that's really cool. I'll be honest with you. I'm actually very interested in using this platform because this will be my first exposure to Fractal, and so I want to like experience the whole thing. And
not just Fractal, but like memery platform. I would say. I mean, besides I guess Rose.
Yeah, true.
But you're the model you're speaking of, like the bonding curve mechanism, right? Like that is. It's kind of like the starting point, and then if you achieve some sort of success within this pool of like new tokens, it gets like transported to a much more liquid rich environment, right? Is that how it works?
So, sorry, I didn't speak about that. That's correct. So after the creator chooses how much he wants to purchase, he doesn't have to purchase any. He launches the token. It goes into this phase called the bonding curve, which is roughly about 55 to 65,000 market cap, 70,000. It depends on the price of FB, right?
Okay.
If you have enough buy pressure, and you could sell too, right? People actually, these degens, they make their gains really in the bonding curve as well on Solana, right? Because some of them are already at a 2-3x, right? But again, this is what the people voted for.
Yeah.
But yeah, and if you actually hit this target, it will trigger the liquidity migration, which would then goes to the main AMM swap. So in this case, it's .swap, right? They're leading the way with the CAT20. And on Solana, it's Radium. On Uniswap, it is, on Ethereum, it's Uniswap. So that's what we'll be doing there. And that's where you could, promote your stuff and you could go to a much larger market cap.
Right.
Interesting.
So that's how that works.
Okay.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting for sure. Yeah. So I'm sure that wasn't easy to put together.
Yeah, man, that sounds really complex, dude.
Yeah.
Guys, it really is with this whole UTXO thing, but especially working on a new network, but it is required with those sort of like, environments it offers, but then also working with a new token standard, right? Putting those two things together, right? On a UTXO network too. So it's challenging. It really is. I want to mention this as well. So this is our MVP, right? But it's as advertised. Everything I showed on the whiteboard in my last video does all of that, but we're not going to come out, boom, finished product, and done. No. MVP, go up, go up, go up like that, right? And I
Yep.
think that's a safe bet to do it. We just don't want to roll out the entire thing and, get ahead of ourselves, so to speak. This works. Let's add this. Let's add that. We're done. Yeah. But as I said, the MVP will do exactly everything I just explained here on your show and also in my whiteboard presentation too.
No, that's the way it should be done. We got to launch MVPs. You can't wait for like a perfect product, and then you iterate from there. So you're absolutely doing it the right way. Congrats, Francis. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. As soon as you get those links ready, I'm ready to try this thing. This will be the first time I get into like a real meme platform.
Same,
So I'm really interested to see how all of it works, especially kind of like a Bitcoin native, platform like this. Like, it's interesting.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for joining us, man. This has been a really fun conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much. And I'd love to exchange the offer, and maybe you guys could come on my platform and we speak about TAP, DMT.
Oh, yeah.
What you guys are doing over there, Nat.
Yeah.
I would love that.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah, we'd love to do that and maybe explore some like ways to integrate like this whole meme economy in the metaverse in some way, some shape, some form, right? We have, I think, the right technical wrapper in this product we call Meta, like a metaverse tokenized application where we could just, leverage some of the activities that happen within the metaverse, maybe as some sort of component to generating some of these meme tokens into the future, right? But there's some technical requirements to that, but something that's part of our vision roadmap and outline, right? There's a lot of potential there to leverage the metaverse.
Yeah, not only that, memes are communities, and the metaverse brings the communities together, so it sort of makes sense.
Exactly.
All right,
I already have an idea once you said that. I already have an idea.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much, though.
Thank you, Francis, so much. Everybody else, all the links will be in the description. Thanks again, Francis, and we will catch you in the next podcast.
Peace.